I'm giving away several copies of LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, my Discord, and my new TikTok for announcements over the next few weeks about the giveaways. Links to all of my socials can be found in the description. So LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga is releasing literally next month. I think it's actually a month from the day I'm making this video, and I'm honestly feeling overwhelmed with the amount of content included in this game. It's huge, which got me thinking, what's so unique about this game is that each world you're able to visit is going to change and evolve based on when you're visiting in the timeline between the prequel, original, and sequel eras. Different things will be happening, and different people will be there corresponding to what's happening in the saga at the time, whether it's still the Age of the Republic, the Empire in control, or whatever. Like in the prequels, for example, all the civilians could be freely roaming the streets, but then in the original trilogy, they could all be locked up. They could have a curfew. They could be warring in the streets. This game is going where no Star Wars game has ever gone before. And do we even actually know what's happening on all 23 planets in this game throughout each era? Well, today, I thought it'd be fun to go through each planet in the Skywalker Saga and take a look at what's actually happening there in each era, based on what we know from the films, the TV shows, books, comics, Wikipedia, and everything. This game is going to be developing its own Star Wars canon of what's happening where and when, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of holes in the timeline for a bunch of these planets. Like, does anyone know what's happening on Naboo in the sequel era? Or what's happening on Crate during the prequels? What about Kashyyyk? Is Mustafar going to evolve from this to this in the game, just like it does in the films? Let's find out. Now, there are a lot of planets in this game, so this video is just going to be focused on the prequel era planets, and then maybe I'll make another one about the rest. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. So how is Naboo going to change and evolve over LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga? We obviously know what's happening on Naboo during the prequels. We have the droid invasion, the attack on Theed and the palace. The planet was sided with the Republic throughout the Clone Wars. So during the prequel era, we can expect to see droids roaming the planet, attacking, and the local forces fighting them off. I'm assuming a few clones will also show up during Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, because I think parts of each planet will also evolve as you play through each film and not just each era. But what happens to Naboo during the original trilogy? Well, for a while, Naboo was doing great. Naboo was the homeworld of new self-appointed Emperor Palpatine, so for the most part, things were peaceful and the planet was wealthy. I'd expect to see a considerable stormtrooper and Imperial presence during this era, but also just locals chilling, just going about their business. Also, apparently by this time, the Naboo security forces and starfighters were phased out because, you know, the Empire, they were in control. They didn't want Naboo to have its own security force, so they look like they won't be around anymore. And just following Palpatine's death at the end of the original trilogy, anyone who's played Battlefront 2 story mode might remember what happened. Another invasion. And this time by the Empire. Naboo was one of the targets of Operation Cinder. The Empire's attempts to destroy the planet were pushed back by Leia and the Rebellion. So, sequel era, and Naboo sided with the Resistance against the First Order. So for the most part, I think Naboo's going to be pretty peaceful. It's probably going to stay mostly the same throughout each era. Unlike the next planet. Tatooine is probably the most visited planet throughout the entire Star Wars saga, and in LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga, we're going to see it evolve based on what's happening during each era. Honestly, Tatooine doesn't change too much over the course of the Skywalker Saga. During the prequels, I'd expect to see the locals going about their business. There'll be, you know, Cantina will be here. You'll probably be able to go visit Watto in his shop and go for a pod race. But during the original trilogy, pod racing was actually banned by the Empire, so you won't be able to go test your skills against Sebulba. This here is actually Sebulba's pod in the background. So that's just one example of how the landscape is going to change between each era. There'll be Easter eggs and relics from previous eras littered throughout. Also expect to see a lot of stormtroopers roaming the streets, asking to see your identification and investigating the death of Greedo, just like we see here. And it seems like they'll be causing a bit of chaos, chasing Jawas around, citizens, and causing a bit of havoc. Now, during the sequel era, I'm wondering if we'll see the effect Boba Fett has had on the planet. We're not sure if he's still in charge by this time, if he's still alive, but I'd like to think so. So hopefully we'll be able to go visit Boba's palace instead of Jabba's. Hopefully pod racing will also be back and available by this time. And we might also see a few mods walking around the streets. Oh, and the Sarlacc will also be dead. so you can't go say hi to your pet Sarlacc. And I'm assuming we'll also be able to see the remains of Jabba's sail barge just lying on the ground next to the Sarlacc. Of all planets in the Star Wars galaxy, Coruscant has one of the richest histories across all Skywalker Saga films. So how will it evolve in the new LEGO Star Wars? Well, in the prequels, Coruscant is flourishing. You'll be able to visit the Jedi Temple, go say hi to some of the Jedi, you know, go read the Jedi text, go visit the librarian, stuff like that. The Senate is there as well. You go be able to watch the Senate, what's going on in there, and the Uskru district. Go buy some death sticks. But then also watch as the city streets turn to chaos with the fall of the Republic, Order 66, and then the rise of the Empire. How is Order 66 going to work in this game? Are we actually going to be able to go on the Jedi Purge? Can you play in this game in Revenge of the Sith following Order 66 and, you know, just walk into the temple as a group of clones and shoot a bunch of Jedi? Oh, geez. Love it. So during the original trilogy, the Jedi Temple becomes the Imperial Palace, which is basically Palpatine's home on Coruscant. So probably going to hang up a bunch of signs and flags, and it'll seem like a much creepier Sith kind of place rather than the Jedi Temple. A lot of emptier, I'd say, as well. Probably a bunch of Imperial guards, stuff like that, walking around inside. The Senate building was used as the Imperial Senate by this point, so perhaps you'll be able to go watch Palpatine give a speech as the Emperor, and also see who is supporting him at this time. And then during the prequel era, as far as I know, the building was still used as a Senate, but not as often. The Senate moved between planets at this point in the timeline. So I'm hoping at least we'll be able to see the fallen statue of Emperor Palpatine. You know, that one that falls at the end of Return of the Jedi? Maybe you'll be able to climb its ruins to collect a couple Kyber bricks. Watching Kamino's evolution throughout the new LEGO Star Wars is going to be quite interesting because, I mean, this planet changes a lot. During the prequel era, Kamino is obviously home to the cloning facility. You'll get to explore the hallways of the facility, watching clones train, and you'll hopefully be able to also chill in those uncomfortable looking spoon chairs where Obi-Wan is completely confused about what's going on. But if you watch The Bad Batch, by the time we get to the original trilogy, you'll know that there's nothing here. The Empire completely destroyed all cloning facilities on Kamino. So if you visit Kamino at this time, I guess you'll just be able to go swimming. Not really sure what else there is to do here. Maybe go explore the ruins of the cloning facilities, go underwater. And I guess the same for the sequel era. It's not going to be much here, right? It's kind of creepy, isn't it? Just a giant ocean. Geonosis is a planet we've only really seen during the prequel era. So what will you be able to do and see here later on in the new LEGO Star Wars? To start, during the prequels, you'll be able to explore the droid factory, maybe even build yourself a droid, then join the fight in the Petronaki Arena, go flying with some of the Geonosians, and explore the planet's sandy plains. Now, just before the original trilogy era, the Death Star was actually constructed above Geonosis. However, following its completion, the Empire sterilized the planet, which was basically a process of destroying all life on Geonosis. They didn't want any remains of the Death Star or anything here, so they left the planet as an empty sand rock floating through space. So perhaps you'll be able to go visit the ruins of the droid factory, maybe even come across a few malfunctioning leftover droids and see what's left of the arena. Same goes for the sequel era. I think it'll be pretty barren, not much going on here. Maybe even some rebirth, new life. Maybe it'll start growing trees, who knows? If there are trees on Tatooine, I'm sure there are some trees on Geonosis, right? A lot is going to change on Kashyyyk between each era in the new LEGO Star Wars. During the prequels, the Wookiees will roam free as the droid invasion looms, and you'll be able to help fight off the droids with clones, until they turn on the Wookiees and force the Wookiee population into enslavement by the time of the original trilogy. So prequels, probably you get to chill with the Wookiees in the treetops, you know, see their life at home, family, kids, all that. And then original trilogy, everyone is a slave. A sad time for Kashyyyk. By then, there'll be stormtrooper garrisons, and it'll be hard to get around, especially if you're playing as a Wookiee character. But by the time of the sequel trilogy, the Wookiees will be free again, thanks to being liberated by Han Solo and the New Republic. So life again will be flourishing on Kashyyyk. Hopefully, we'll get to climb the giant tree just like we did in Jedi Fallen Order 2. That'd be great. I want to go climbing and sliding on all the treetops. That'd be great. I cannot wait to explore Mustafar in each era of LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga. Because of all planets in this game, it seems like this one will have the most dramatic evolution. During the prequel era, Mustafar is a lava planet. Lava rivers cover its surface, and apparently there was also a droid factory somewhere here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to visit that in the game though, but by the time of the original trilogy, Vader's fortress had been erected. So even though the Skywalker Saga is focused on the Skywalker films, it seems likely we'll be able to go here for a visit, maybe go read some of the ancient Sith texts and connect with your inner dark side. Say hi to Darth Vader having a bubble bath. But following the events of Vader Immortal, the VR game, Mustafar began to heal, and what was once a lava-covered planet evolved into a planet of rebirth, with trees and new life forming, just as we saw in The Rise of Skywalker. So at this point, it's not going to be covered in lava rivers, they'll be dried up, and I guess it's becoming more of a forest. Can't wait to see how that's reflected in this game. And at this time, the planet had also been colonized by the Sith cult, so instead of seeing Mustafarians, the natives, we'll likely be seeing more of these guys trying to worship the planet's dark past and what Vader left behind, and then you go slaughter them all as Kylo. That's going to be great. And those are just the prequel era planets. So much is going to change as you play through this game. It's insane. Everything's going to be evolving as you play through, and I can't wait to actually see how much each planet changes and the differences in locations and landscapes. If you enjoyed this, let me know, and maybe I'll make another video talking about how the original and sequel trilogy planets will evolve between each era. And also, don't forget to check out my social medias for upcoming details on how to win a copy of LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga. I'll be sharing details about that in the coming weeks. And if you're new around here, I also have a clips channel with daily clips and memes. Come check that out, and you can watch one of these videos here for lots more LEGO Star Wars, and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, join my Discord, the TikTok for more. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon.
Stay bombastic.